Blue Feather. I'm very, very happy to be here again tonight. I really enjoy talking with everyone. I just want you to know I also have been enjoying our weather, but all of a sudden, for whatever reason, we are now getting ready to go into summer, which I do not enjoy, but that's okay. It does get a little bit on the hot side. Anyway, to tell you a little bit about me real quick is, of course, I'm an ordained minister, so I'm Reverend Janet Reynolds, and Blue Feather is my guide, and he is the one that gives me all of the information. We are in the now, so I give you insight and confirmation to what is going on around you. And I do have a special guest tonight, but before I introduce her, please know that I do readings, and I am also a certified spirit medium, to where we talk to the other side. Or I could say to you, they talk to me, or I talk to them, however we want to say it. And Blue Feather does give me quite a bit of information, but it's basically with what's going on around us in the present, in the now. Now, my guest tonight is Lea Chapin. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Lea, please say your name again for me.
Lea Chapin.
Chapin, there you go. Now I said it correctly. I want to let you all know that Lea has a master's degree in a counselor in education and a bachelor's degree in psychology, with over 40 years combined experience as a psychotherapist. You know, when I was younger, I feel if my aunt had ever really discussed college with me, I would have went and I would have taken psychology. I really, could have been a psychiatrist. But the thing that is, I feel unique is now I'm an intuitive counselor. So in our own little way, we are helping people through psychology, or as being a psychologist or a psychologist or psychiatrist. But anyway, you're a motivated speaker, a licensed massage therapist. You do healing energy as a practitioner, and an associate pastor. So you're a pastor also, as I am.
I am. I wear many hats. I've moved along through my career wearing many hats.
I hear you. But the one thing that you specialize in is psychoimmunology. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes, and it's the mind-body connection, which helps clients understand the emotional and spiritual connection to their physical pain. And really, I feel in today's world, there's quite a bit of physical pain. Can we say that?
Well, as I've worked in mental health since 1979, I've seen a lot of shift in consciousness, at least with people's understanding about mental health. When I started working in the early 80s, people were really afraid of talking about their emotions, and they're afraid of psychiatrists or psychologists, and people were afraid that you're going to read their mind, and people didn't really want to divulge much about themselves. And then we went through what we call a deinstitutionalization of the mental health system, where they began to close the mental health centers in the hospitals, which really has led to now in 2021, where we're now seeing a resurgence in mental health, which is really wonderful because it's so needed, because I feel is directly related to the gun violence that's happening in our world, and so much of the stress that we're feeling from this pandemic, but also just generalized anxiety because our world moves rather quickly, and people are now focusing on mental health more than they ever have over the 40-year period of time that I've worked. I'm really happy to see that shift in consciousness.
Yes, and it really does help. But even in today's world with everything that is going on, many children are affected also.
Mm-hmm.
So are you able to, or do you help children also?
I have worked with kids. My primary focus is adults. Even when I worked as a traditional psychotherapist, I work now as a spiritual counselor. I combine my psychology work and my counseling work with my spiritual and my channeled work with spirit. But I have worked primarily with adults through my career. I have worked with children. I do work with some children, primarily teenagers. I don't work with a lot of young children, but I work also with the parents who have psychic children who are, the parents need to understand more about their children's intuitive gifts. And so I'll work with the parents that way more than just with the littler children.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, Lea, what area are you in?
Where am I located, like physically?
Uh-huh.
In this moment, I am residing in Northport, Florida, which is south of Sarasota.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Because I couldn't remember, where it was where you were located. So that's good to know. So thank you for that. So, but another thing too is you're an author of the book, The 12 Mastery Teachings of Christ. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's a channeled inspiration book. I just began channeling the words of Jesus in 1997. I originally started channeling in 1993. And then in 1997, I started working with the Holy Family, to my surprise. And then shortly after that, Jesus had said he wanted me to write a small instructional manual about the essence of his teachings.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the channeled message of the 12 Master Teachings. I originally put it into a cassette back in the days. Back in 2003, it was on cassette form, and then I put it on CDs. Then I put it into paperback. It's on Kindle. Now it's on audiobook form. But these are the essence of Christ's teachings that he taught over 2,000 years ago. The first lesson is love, and the last lesson is joy. And each of the lessons are encoded with his energy and his vibration. So with the first lesson of love, he's encoded his energy into the written word and into the audio recording, so that we can truly begin to feel unconditional love.
Right.
And then with each of the teachings, or each of the vibrations, they hold a powerful vibration. So we're able to move through those lessons as we need them. So it's like a little instruction manual, in the sense of if you want to call it like the daily word, where maybe we read a passage every day, or if we need to have peace, then we'll read the chapter on peace. If we need to feel hope, that there's a chapter of hope. So it's really designed for easy reading, but it's inspirational, and it's subliminal. I don't want to say subliminal, but it's encoded with his energy to help us to hold that vibration within our being.
And it sounds like it's very helpful.
It is. I've had many, many people tell me that as they just touch the book, they actually feel energy coming from the book. And every time they read the book and study it over and over, they get something new from it every time they either read it or listen to it. So it's really to help us to embody the essence of Christ's teachings. Not just to read the book, but to embody those frequencies.
Right. And I feel that it's just really so very important. So please tell us about yourself a little bit, and your professional background, and how you merged traditional psychotherapy with spiritual counseling to do the work that you do now as an intuitive psychic reader.
Well, that's definitely a journey. I got my master's degree in 1979 and worked as a traditional mental health therapist for many years. My last job was working on a psychiatric unit in 1987, 88. And I remember at that time, I had some kind of a vague awareness that there was a better way of helping people than what I was doing as a therapist. I had not started channeling yet. I didn't have my connection to spirit yet, but I just had this feeling. I know that was my soul calling me and telling me there was another way of working, but I hadn't grown into myself yet. So I wasn't aware of it until 1993, when I started channeling spirit, that I then understood what that vague feeling was back several years ago. And so I began to work with individuals, helping them to understand aspects of their life, just like a therapist, but I was able to access the ascended masters and the angels and the galactic realm to that individual soul. And so I'd be able to bring the soul reading through the Akashic records to help people understand also past lives, or also to understand aspects of their life that they're struggling with, so that they can really begin to shift their perspective and be able to make those positive changes in their life like a traditional therapist, but it's from the higher wisdom.
Right. Yes, it's with the help of what I call the people, and then I call him the man. So yes, they do. They help us to really to figure out or help when we have issues. They help us to correct it. So when did you discover you were a direct voice channel for the Ascended Masters and the angelic realm?
It was March 21st, 1993.
You got it right down to a fine science, girl.
I do. I remember the exact day because I've been told by a psychic 7 years prior to this that I had these abilities, and I was working at that time over in Lakeland, Florida as a mental health therapist. And so she taught me how to use a pendulum and to do some automatic handwriting. And then my life changed. And then I actually changed professions. I went into massage work. I left the mental health field and went into massage and started my own business back home in Illinois. And I was getting a Reiki session one day, and lo and behold, the same guide that this lady had told me about 7 years prior began to speak through my voice. And it was like turning on a light switch. And one moment I didn't know I could do this. I was just getting a Reiki session. And then all of a sudden, Grand, my spirit guide, started speaking through my voice. I have no idea what he said, but I remember that it was Grand, and it was the spirit guide the lady had told me about 7 years prior. Hadn't thought about Grand, hadn't thought about channeling. I was in my new world of massage, wasn't thinking about that ever happening to me. And I've been focusing and working with spirit since that day. So I know exactly the day it was. It was March 21st, 1993.
I think that's beautiful that you remember that. I really do. I learned to channel Blue Feather in England. I went to the college over there and took the class, and it was the author Finlay College in England. And when I went there to take a class, I didn't know exactly what class I was going to take. And needless to say, I took trance channeling. And I learned to channel Blue Feather. And yes, when he comes through, my voice does change. And I really feel that the beautiful thing about it all is that he helps my daughter. So she's not getting answers from her mother. She's getting answers from Blue Feather. So I do understand, direct voice channel. And I'm glad to know that that's something that you can do, because I really believe it's a beautiful experience. I really do. And when you talk about automatic writing, I did a lot of automatic writing, handwriting with Blue Feather. And because of that, I was able to have my business card. That's where I learned that he and I were in the now, and that we gave insight and confirmation, because I asked him the question with my right hand and he answered me with my left hand. So I think it's really, and of course I had a hard time reading it, but I was able to do it. But I think it's really beautiful the way that they work with us and come through us the ways that they do. So now you say you are a versatile channel for spirit. What does that mean to you?
Well, some people channel one entity or one being. I channel many beings. And so I'm not limited to one being. So I started working with Grand, my spirit guide that came to me on that day, March 21st, 1993. And then I started working with the archangels and started working with St. Michael. And I remember him telling me, don't you remember me? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I don't remember you. And then I started working with the Holy Family in 1997, and that was another surprise. And then I started expanding, working with the Galactic Federation. I work with the Palladians and the Syrians and the Andromedans, and I work with Priestess Isis, and I also channel Cryon and Metatron and Saint Germain, and any being who is of the light that wants to work with me. I also am a psychic medium, so I can tap into someone's dead relative. I work with the fairy realm, so I have no idea how I'm able to be able to access all that energy and all the different beings, and that's why I call myself a versatile channel, because whoever wants to show up that's of the light, I'm able to access their frequency.
Well, I think that's beautiful that you can do that, because really Blue Feather is the only spirit guide, spirit entity that I have ever channeled. I haven't channeled anybody else but him.
Mm-hmm.
But then that has a lot to do with, I don't really want anybody else. I just want him. Because he's very special to me, and he's been around me for a long time. And the information that does come through with him is often very direct or definite, and he means what he says. And I think that's important too, when they are of integrity like they are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So now you are, of course, an author. And can you share your books, and are they channeled material?
They are channeled. As I mentioned before, the 12 Master Teachings of Christ was the essence of Christ's teaching. Those are all channeled. I channeled that in 2003 and then published it in 2005. And then in 2017, I published my second book, which is called Divine Union, the love story of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Mm-hmm. And that's a channeled love story directly from Mary Magdalene and Jesus. And so each chapter is designed with Mary's perspective and Jesus' perspective, and it's about their life and how they knew each other as young children, how they married, and how they went through the crucifixion, and how Mary Magdalene helped assist through that process. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful love story, but also the bigger picture of it is that they are actually twin flames, that they are holding the essence of the divine masculine, divine feminine for all of us to be able to step into. So they're holding the template. So the story really leads into their partnership as their sacred soul contract for humanity to hold the balance of the divine Mother, Father, God energy. And so we're now in 2021, and they're still helping us to ascend and to hold this frequency of the divine Mother, divine Father essence. So that's what that book is about. Then my third book is not the love story, but it's the story of Sarah, which is the daughter of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and that's still in process. So I've channeled 24 chapters. I finished those chapters 3 years ago, and I'm still incubating on that. And I'm hoping that this year that I'll get the impetus to finish up that story, because it's been sort of sitting for 3 years, and I'm wondering when am I going to finish it.
Well, you know what? I take a writing class every Tuesday, and I think I feel I've been in the writing class now for over a year, and I have written a story on COVID, which I have disliked the pandemic. I've really not liked it at all, and everything that has transpired from it. So I sat down one evening, and for 3 hours, I wrote what I really felt. Mm-hmm. But the good thing is that the story did go into a book. And, writing, you say 3 years, sometimes writing, you really have to have a lot of patience to sit down and do what needs to be done. And it's not always easy. It's even for me, for writing class, it's hard for me to sit down. Mm-hmm. I do it, but not always. I find other things to do. So that part's not good, but I have written 2 good stories that are in 2 different books. But the fact that you wrote about Mary Magdalene, I think is beautiful, because I have always felt that she was the wife of Jesus. I have always believed that. And it's not too many people that you can say that to.
Well, I've been sharing this story for some time, but I've reconciled that now, and I'm sticking with my story.
Well, that I think that, and then the story with the daughter, I think that that's beautiful. And I have been to France. Have you been to France?
I was, yeah, I went to southern France in 2017.
Did you, or were you able to see her church? I understand that there is a church over there in her name.
I did. Yeah, I was on a group tour, and so we went and followed the footsteps of Mary Magdalene and went down to Saint de la Mure, and I had a powerful experience there. So I think we're right at the. I'm just reminding you, we're at the 8:20 hour, Janet.
Yes, yeah, we're right there. I was going to let you finish your sentence. So thank you for sharing. So for right now, everyone, please, there's going to be a short intermission, I think. Well, here we go. So,
We're back.
yes, once more, Reverend Janet Reynolds, and once more, well, I could say Reverend, couldn't I, Leah?
You can.
Okay, Leah, and say your last name for me.
Chapin.
Chapin, there you go. So here we are. We're back again. Thank you very much. And Leah, the one thing, we were talking about Mary Magdalene, and there is another place in England, in Glastonbury, that's called the Tor, or it's the Tower. And that is supposedly to be a place where Jesus went with his uncle when he was gone for the 40 days. And I have been there. Have you been there by chance?
No, I wanted to go there last year. I went to go to Glastonbury because in 2018 I was blessed to be in 8 countries and did a sacred site tour to 8 countries, and I did a lot of activation work in these countries, and I wanted to go to Glastonbury to connect with Sarah. And so we were wanting to do that again, after this whirlwind trip that finished up in January of 2019, but didn't happen last year.
Okay, well, it's coming, just so that you know. But
Oh, good. Blue feather. I want to go back to France and to Glastonbury.
Well, I'm going to tell you Glastonbury, okay? But I have in France more than likely, yes, to be honest. But Glastonbury is my favorite place. I have been there 5 times.
Oh my gosh.
And the one thing, and I've always walked up to the tour or to the tower. And when you get up there, it is the most beautiful sight to see, because you can see all that part of Glastonbury, all that part of England. And it's just really very beautiful. But I'm supposedly to have had a past life there. So I was there in 2019, before our mess. So that was the good thing, that I was able to get there before COVID. So, but it's hippie. It's very, very hippie. Did you know that?
Yeah. No, I don't. No, I did not know that. No.
Yes, and they even have signs, and it's always been hippie. And I've never seen that part of it, because I always looked into the spiritual part or the metaphysical part because of all of the shops and the crystals and everything. And when you go into some of the shops, they even have signs that say, "Hippies sit here."
Oh, that's cute. That's really cute.
It is, and it's really a beautiful town. I'm very, very, connected to that. But anyway, tell us about your connection to the Holy Family, and how you began, as you have brought forth their channel messages since 1997.
But to my delight, as I said, I was working with Grand for 4 years, and the Archangels came, and then in 1997, the Holy Family came, and I was really shocked. I was still young at this, and so I had no awareness of why would they be coming to me. But I come to learn that I lived in the lifetime of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary. And so I've had that information given to me. And I've also had some remembrances that I was Elizabeth. I was Jesus's cousin. And I was raised by Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene's good friend. And so I was a part of their life and was a part of the female disciples that had assisted Christ during that lifetime. As we know, there were 12 male disciples, but many people may not know that there were also 12 female disciples, the inner circle that was orchestrated and led by Mother Mary. And so I was a part of their family. And so that was my understanding of what I was sharing with that. That's the reason I've been able to bring this information through, why I have such a close connection to them, because I remember my lifetime with them, and it brings up strong emotion of a lot of the memories I have from that lifetime.
Lea, talk a little bit more. I'm going to excuse myself. Somebody is knocking on my door.
Oh, okay.
I'm not expecting.
So as I discovered that I was Elizabeth, that I was Mary Magdalene's best friend and Jesus's cousin, that I helped assist during Jesus' time, before, during, and again after the crucifixion. So that's in my book, Divine Union: The Love Story of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. So I have a chapter which is called Elizabeth's Last Words, and so she shares who she was and her connection to the Holy Family. And so I truly remember the essence of her energy. I really feel her strongly within me. I feel her devotion. I feel her love for the Holy Family. And so that's my connection. That is my understanding of why I was able to connect to the Holy Family. Every Monday morning for probably the last 15 years or longer, I channel the message of Mary Magdalene and Jeshua, and I put that on my YouTube channel. So if you just Google Lea Chapin YouTube, you'll find all of my audio recordings. They're uploaded. I was putting them on Facebook into written form. I had done that for several years, but now I'm just doing into the audio recording. People seem to really want to be able to listen to things more now. Things have shifted from being able to read it to listening to it. So every Monday morning, you'll hear the messages. They're current messages describing information about what's happening globally, but also they give us information to help us, to assist us to navigate through life and through these troubled times, giving us, again, the highest perspective of what's happening in the world. So every Monday at 11 a.m., I have a teleconference call that I do in a small group of ladies, and then I put that out in the world and share that out to others freely.
I think that it's just really beautiful that you're able to do all of that. And let me ask you this, please. Do they let you know when all of this is going to calm down?
Well, they've given me on my YouTube channel, my Mary Magdalene, I don't remember, I think this was last year, must have been probably March of 2020. There is information about the COVID and the reason for it. So there's a higher purpose for all of this. So what they've explained to me, that this is a time of purification. And so it's been really important for all of us to be able to, we've been sequestered or been alone, or we've been away from our families or a regular routine. This is a time for us to be able to really access our soul, because we're all, if we so choose and are listening, are being called to move into a higher mission, into a higher purpose. And so there's a higher reason for all of this happening than just what we see on TV or what we hear, or what we're told. So for me last year, I was told that it was for me to begin to teach more. And that's really what I want to do. And so this opportunity for me to have my own podcast came up, and I've actually been teaching a lot more. So people are being guided, if they listen, to what their soul is calling them to do in this lifetime.
Yes, and Blue Feather did tell me it was a cleansing and or a clearing. And then also because we're extremely overpopulated, has a lot to do with letting go of the older people and reducing the population for how it is. So yeah, it's been an experience, I'm sure, for all of us, and I'm sure we can all say a story or two. Let me say it that way. So now tell us about your weekly podcast, Inspiration from Spirit, which is being heard on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern on Goldilocks Production Company.
Well, that show came organically. I wasn't expecting to do a podcast. I done a radio show from 2007 to 2015 on Radio Air Network, and it was called Inspiration from Spirit, and I interviewed a variety of guests, people who are making positive change in the world. And then I decided to stop it in August of 2015 to finish my book, Divine Union. And I didn't think I was going to do a radio show again or a podcast. And then last year, one of my colleagues, a gal that I know from Chicago that now lives down here in Florida, invited me to be a guest on her show. And while I was waiting for her to come on air, I was talking to the producer, and out of my mouth said, "Oh, do you have room for another show host?" And I wasn't thinking about that. I think my higher self or my soul just spit it out. And to my shock, I said this. I thought, oh my gosh, what have I asked? And lo and behold, she said she did. And so that's was another way for me to get my messages out, which is how Spirit had said they wanted me to teach. So that's how that evolved.
Yes, and I think that's beautiful. Even myself with the podcast with Cece, both she and I had our own radio programs before this, and I'm just glad to be able to still be able to do it and talk to people and bring other individuals in as yourself, so that we can teach people different things about what's going on around us. So I think that is just so very important. So now once more, tell us about what classes that you teach and what you are offering currently at this time.
Well, I teach a variety of classes, but I teach an intuitive development class to help people tap into their own intuitive abilities. And right now it's really important for people to be able to access their own guidance, because there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of confusion. And as we begin to listen to what I call that still quiet voice from within, our own intuition, as we have that clarity, then that will help us to make decisions in our life, but also be able to help reduce our anxiety and help us to navigate our life so that we can live our life with greater ease. And so I really like teaching that. And I've been working with a lot of younger people young adults and who are awakened, that are able to access their own intuitive gifts, that they're awakening, but they don't really know how to access them, how to navigate them, and really how to begin to listen to their own internal guidance so they can move forward into their life. So that's really exciting. And then I've been also doing a lot of Akashic Records teachings and a lot of Akashic Records class workshops, helping people understand what are the Akashic Records and helping people understand aspects of their life that what I call are the predominant lifetimes that are affecting their current life. So I'm able to tap into the Akashic Records and then give that individual during the class the predominant lifetime that is influencing or affecting their life. And so that's really exciting. So I like doing that. And then I also work with what's called the Sacred Flames, which is the 7 sacred flames from the Telos book of Aurelia Louise Jones. These are the sacred flames that are the rays of light, and working with the ascended masters. And these are actually tools, and the flames are tools to help us. And the ascended masters have worked with these flames through eons of time. Each of the masters have mastered their particular mission or flame. And so I love working with the flames because they're really practical. I work with the resurrection flame a lot, which is the flame that Jesus used to resurrect himself after the crucifixion. And so I tell a lot of people about working with the resurrection flame to help heal not only their anxiety, but also physical issues. So, for example, I shared this with one of my clients. She had some lesions on her brain, and I asked her to use the resurrection flame. She went back to the neurologist, and to her delight and surprise, there are no more lesions on her brain. And so she called it. She was so excited. So these miracles are happening as we begin to work with these flames. I also am working with what we call the Atlantean work, which is what I'm doing now. I feel a very strong connection to Atlantis as well as Lemuria, but I'm working with the Atlantean energies because I feel like we're replaying the Atlantean times in our current civilization. So what's happening today is a strong parallel to what happened in Atlantis, and so I'm trying to help people understand how they can navigate through these changes and then begin to awaken to their own soul purpose, so we can all be the light, so that we can hold the candle, anchor the light here, so that our civilization doesn't fall like it did in Atlantis and Lemuria when things got misdirected. So I am teaching those classes as well. So I have my fingers in lots of pies, and I have lots of interest.
I from the sounds of it, you stay quite busy, and I just think that's very beautiful. I really do. I stay busy myself, but sometimes I don't stay busy enough. So, I'm glad to know that you're doing everything that you're doing. I just believe it's beautiful. I really do. And to be able to teach, I love to teach myself, and I teach dream class and meet your spirit guides. But with what you're teaching, I think that it's a little bit more ahead of what I teach, but it's information that I've been taught. I just don't do that part of it. So yes. Now I wonder if anybody has a question. Do we have anyone watching the show tonight, Cece? Well, let me say this. If anyone has a question, please call 813-814-1601. And if you don't have a question for the show tonight and you want to ask me a question, you can always do that with going to my website, which is www.bluefeather.net. So I just want to thank everybody for having come tonight, especially Leah. I really appreciate you doing that. You did it on such a spur of the moment for me.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me. Yeah, that's a delight. I know we had met, I don't know when the last time we met at the expo. I don't, at Unity.
Yes.
And then we just
It
met
was,
again Saturday.
yes, Unity was really, really special this year to me. I kept quite busy. Did you keep quite busy? I didn't have time to notice.
I did. I was really busy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was spinning by the time I got done.
Uh, I was just really happy because that was the first time in 2 years.
Mhm.
And then she's going to have another one in August, and she's going to have another one in November, as in Reverend Kimberly from the Unity Church in St. Petersburg. So now, did you want to share your contact information once more with the listening audience?
My website is leachapin.com. There you can find all of my services, my channeled readings. I do private sessions for individuals, do half an hour readings, hour readings. I do have a little mini special this month where if you just have one particular question, I'm just doing 15-minute readings or half an hour readings at a discounted rate. And then you can find all of my Mary Magdalene and Jeshua messages that I do every week there on my website. And then you can also find those YouTube on my YouTube channel. You can see all of the sacred site journeys that I took in 2018 when I was in India and Turkey and Egypt and Jordan and Cyprus and Ireland. And so I was on a whirlwind tour that year. So, and yeah, all the sacred site journeys where I've done activation work in those particular countries are available on my YouTube channel.
Oh, good. That's good to know. When did you go to Egypt? What year?
2018.
I went to Egypt in 1999 and brought in the year 2000. I was
Oh,
there for New Year's.
congratulations.
Don't you find Egypt beautiful?
I struggled with it, to be honest. I felt a lot of pain there, and so it was difficult for me. The energy felt really heavy there, and I as an empath, I started weeping, and my friends were in the car and they didn't know what was wrong with me, but I just felt this overlaying energy. But when I went into the Great Pyramid of Giza, I did an activation and a channeling in there with Priestess Isis, and that was really, really powerful. That's actually on my YouTube channel, so that was amazing. But overall, the energy there felt a little heavy for me.
Oh, okay. Well, we did quite a bit in Egypt, and Segment, you know who Segment is, the
Yeah,
goddess.
yeah.
She is my favorite, and we were able to go to her tomb, and we did a meditation, and there's a statue in there of her, and her eyes came to life for me.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah.
yes, and the beautiful thing too was her eyes came to life for my daughter because I had my daughter with me. So the both of us
Oh,
were able to see her eyes. And
yeah.
I have never forgotten that. So Carol, the woman that we went with, informed us both, as in my daughter and I, that we were children of Egypt. So I thought that was pretty unique. But we're going
Yeah.
back 21 years ago.
Yeah. That's right.
Time goes by fast when you're having fun.
It does go by very fast.
Yes, it did. But Egypt was and I went to Peru also. So that's another story. But I just so appreciate you coming on, Leah. Thank you so very, very much. I hope to do your show with you. Yes, when you're ready, just please email me because Monday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon is much easier than Thursday at 7:45 at night.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you so very, very much, and I really hope to speak to you and see you again.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
good night, everybody. And my phone did ring. I don't know if that was somebody calling with a question, but please, if I apologize for not answering, but send it to me by email at either email or to my webpage, bluefeather.net, or Janet at bluefeather.net. And you can get me at 813-814-1601. So everybody have a good evening, and thank you so very much